Bonjour et bienvenue. It's so great to see you here in Montreal for the 2025 ASEE annual meeting. I'm your host, Vanessa Lee, here to serve as your guide every step of the way. I can't do it alone though. There are so many things to explore. I'll need a little help from some friends. In fact, I see one now. Pierre, how are you?
Hey, great to see you.
Thank you. I hear you've written a guide for attendees who want to explore Montreal. What would you recommend?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to do. Like any great city in the world, there's tons in terms of culture and history and gastronomy. But I tell you what, now that you're here, why don't we just take a little tour around Old Montreal? There's some great spots there. And afterwards, if you've got the time, we'll head up to Mount Royal Park.
Sounds great.
Okay, let's go.
Let's go.
Here we are at Place d'Armes, which is literally maybe 100 yards from the convention center. This is one of the most historic squares in Old Montreal. It's been around since the late 17th century, dominating the center with a statue of the founder of Montreal. But it's got an interesting collection of buildings. I mean, there's the Notre Dame Basilica, which is really a magnificent building if you get a chance to go inside. It's where Celine Dion got married, where Pierre Trudeau, who was the father of Justin Trudeau's state funeral was. You know, you always want to keep your eyes on the ground, and there's a lot to see in the ground, but I think sometimes just take a bit of your time when you're walking through Old Montreal to look up, because there's some amazing details on the sides of buildings that are very impressive. I think this is one of my favorite streets in Old Montreal, called St. Helen Street. And it's because it's so well preserved. It's really sort of mid-19th century architecture with nothing to spoil it. Here, this building right behind me was Montreal's first sort of shopping place where, you know, people came to actually like a general shopping store, like sort of like a Macy's of Montreal back in the 1850s. But it's so beautifully complete, including the gas lamps. They've often used this for movie sets, for if they're trying to show New York in the 1920s or something like that. They've done a lot of filming in Old Montreal.
I feel like this part of Montreal is so different that, let's say, if you were kidnapped and you woke up, you may not know that you're in Montreal.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not for nothing that this area is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You'd be hard-pressed, I think, to find any place in North America, maybe the exception of Quebec City, where you really have an area that looks out of the past, with not interrupted by modern buildings.
What a beautiful spot. We're right by the water. What can people do here?
Well, I think first of all, people should come here because Montreal, you sort of forget it when you're at the convention center that this is an island. And the reason Montreal is here is because of this waterway. We're an island in the St. Lawrence River. And the first French explorers who came up here could not get beyond a series of rapids now called Lachine Rapids after China. They're trying to get to China. That's about as far as they got. So because of that, they figured that they would actually settle here. So, I mean, it's important. I mean, this is where Montreal started off, right here. I mean, the shoreline has moved in a bit, but, you know, in this area right down here is where Montreal, the first part of the city, started 350, 400 years ago. It's also a very nice place to walk, too. There's a bike path. If you want to rent a bicycle, you can bike all the way out along the Lachine Canal to a fur trading museum about maybe 10 miles west of here. That's an interesting site because fur trading was the reason the city became a city, because beaver pelts in general were very valuable commodities. People went out to as far as the Mississippi River and brought them back to Montreal. Then they were shipped over to England. If you're a shopper today in Montreal, you're probably up on St. Catherine Street in the new part of town. But if you were a shopper back in the 19th century, you'd be on this street, St. Paul Street. But today it's got some boutiques and artisan shops, so it's also worth a visit.
So where are we headed next?
We're headed to one of the jewels of Montreal, Mount Royal Park.
Can't wait.
Let's go.
Pierre, this has to be the best view in Montreal.
It's certainly one of them. At the convention center, you're in a very different part of town. This is obviously the newer part of Montreal, and this is on Mount Royal Park, and Montreal is extremely lucky to have this park. You know, if the mountain weren't here, and it's not much of a mountain, I admit, it's only about 800 feet high, they wouldn't have probably had a park here. It'd probably be wall-to-wall buildings, but Montreal was a very prosperous city even in the mid-19th century, and they looked around and they found the leading urban architect in North America, Frederick Law Olmsted, who designed Central Park in New York, and they gave him the job of designing this park, and so he did. It was opened in 1876, and it's a tremendous resource for Montreal. It's a place to get away from the hurly-burly of what's going on in the city. In the wintertime, you have people tobogganing, snowshoeing, cross-country skiing. In the summertime, you have bicyclists, walkers. It really is a special spot, and just for the view alone, I think it's worth coming up here. If you've got some extra energy, there's a staircase actually that leads all the way down, and it must be like 1,000 stairs down to the top end of Peel Street. So if you're feeling very energetic and you don't want to drive to the near parking lot, you can go to the top of Peel Street and walk up endless staircases and feel you actually climbed a mountain.
Let's head back to ASEE.
Okay, merci beaucoup.
Pierre, thank you for this incredible tour. Where can people find your guide?
Well, if you check the most recent issue of Prism magazine online, you'll see my sort of basic summary of what to do when you're in Montreal, where to visit, where to eat, where to go have a drink. So that's what they should check out.
Do you have any parting words for ASEE attendees as they explore Montreal?
Well, it's a fascinating city, and I think the best thing to do is get out and walk around, look at what I wrote in the magazine article, and maybe take some of those ideas and go and explore the city. It has a lot to offer, a tremendous amount to offer.
We really appreciate you taking the time, Pierre.
You're very welcome. Bienvenue, as we say in Montreal.
Thank you.
Okay.